Hey guys, welcome back to Dark Souls 2. My name is Tom, and in this episode we are finally going to finish the Iron Keep, after many restless hours of trying to get through the first annoying part of it. Sorry that this episode has taken so long to come out. I've been doing a lot of crap lately, well, from YouTube to just my personal life, and a lot of it has really been just tied up in day after day activities that have made it so I can't do any of this work in the last week or so. I've just gone back to university, or college, for those of you that refer to it as that. So yeah, I've just gone back to that, and I'm already swamped with a lot of work. For those of you that don't already know, I study game design at a college here in Australia, and currently I'm halfway through my second year. I've got one more year to go after this, and then I will be able to go find work in that industry. Well, hopefully find work. If not, I'll probably go on to apply for something called Honours. For those that don't know what that is, it's basically just a step up from a Bachelor of Game Design, which is what I'm doing now. It allows me to tutor others if I ever so wished. And as you can see here, we have another Pursuer to fight. This one isn't powered up for some reason though, and it is a bit stronger than the previous ones because at the end of the fight, it drops the Ring of Blades +1. I'm not sure why some Pursuers are stronger than others, or some Pursuers are different to others. It could be the same Pursuer, like there could just be one Pursuer, and each of these other ones that are scattered around the world are just figments of him, or it could actually be a whole legion of soldiers, of Pursuers, and they could in fact be all different people, or all different monsters. But the biggest thing to note here is that this one drops the Ring of Blades +1, so just from the game mechanics standpoint, this one is meant to push the boundaries of play so that you have a tougher time defeating it and getting that ring. And to do this, all they really have to do is give this Pursuer more HP than the others. This, of course, makes for a longer fight, and it also tires out the player, so they are more likely to make mistakes when fighting him, therefore giving the Pursuer an edge to kill the player easily. But, of course, if you do end up beating him, you get a powered up version of the Ring of Blades, which gives your character more attack power if worn. That only works for physical damage though, that doesn't work for magic or any type of, damage that isn't dealt with a actual weapon. So, if you are wearing it, and you're someone that doesn't play towards physical attacks, then it's literally useless towards your character's build. One thing I do have to correct from a previous episode, I believe it was the episode before this, is when I said that the Alon Knights and the Old Iron King had a similar story to Gwyn and the Black Knights of Lordran. I said that the Black Knights were once Silver Knights that were blackened by dragonfire, or rather in the fight with the ancient dragons. What I meant there was that they were blackened within the time period of the ancients, and that they were in fact Silver Knights that were taken with Gwyn to link the First Flame, and during the time period of the First Flame being linked, they were blackened by the flame itself. Not that they were blackened by dragonfire. That was a bit of a slip of the tongue in that episode, so sorry about getting that fact wrong. I've said this before, but I do try to get all my facts straight before I do record an episode, but if I'm rushing to get one done, and I don't have time to rewatch it, and basically proofread all that I've said, some things will slip out, and some things will be incorrectly transposed to you guys, and yeah, it will happen from time to time, so yeah, don't feel bad if you're correcting me in the comments. I will address that in the comments if you do comment something like that. Most of the time, it will just be a tiny mistake on my behalf, and you guys just feel free to correct me. It's no big deal at all, because whilst I do know the lore of both these games, sometimes things get mixed up, and there's just so much to keep track of that I will get things wrong sometimes, especially when I'm talking to just a screen in front of me, not getting any feedback in the way of conversation until I'm actually talking to people in the comments. It's a bit hard to have a one-sided conversation when talking about facts and trying to remember things. You don't have someone here, well, I don't have someone here to correct me if I get something wrong. I have to go through the video and correct myself, and sometimes that won't happen. And that'll either be because I don't have the time to do that at the moment of recording, or I just thought I had the facts right at that time, and it turns out that I was just getting things mixed up. So even though I might think that things are correct sometimes and they're not, that's just me kind of having too much on my mind at one time, and I hope you guys understand that. Anyway, back to Dark Souls 2. At the moment, we are in a place that I can presume that it's used for smelting iron. As you can see over to the side on the right, they are, well, if you do step on a panel that activates them, there are lava smelters that will pour out lava from a hole, and this will essentially create a hazard on the ground that you need to jump over. And because of this, we can kind of deduce that this place, judging from the floor that is completely lava, and the floor is lava, and then just the rest of the stuff in this area, all the fire, all the giant bull heads that spout flame, and then the lava pauldrons down there, and the giant forges, kind of point towards it being a smelting area for the Iron Keep. I'm just going to fast forward through this shooting while I talk, because, I mean, who the fuck wants to sit here and watch me shoot Alon Knights for 10 minutes? So I'll fast forward, but I'll keep talking. If you haven't already noticed, this episode is going to be about half the time, or half the length of the last episode, mainly because, well, this part of the Iron Keep isn't a big deal. It's probably one of the simplest areas in the game. If you shoot all of these enemies with your bow, you can get through this place in no time flat, and it's basically one of the easiest parts in the entire game personally, for me. Even with the invasions that happen in this area, you can get through it quite fast. I mean, I get through it in about maybe 20 minutes whilst like picking up everything. I mean, I don't go to Belfry Soul, but we're going to do those later anyway. Just this area, getting to the Iron King by itself, is a cinch. In fact, I don't even think it takes 20 minutes. It takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to get from the bonfire to the Iron King, well, plus deaths and stuff. So essentially 2 runbacks and two times trying to get to the Iron King takes me about 20 minutes. But if I wouldn't have died, it would take me about, maybe 10 minutes. And if you are noticing all the chests that are scattered throughout this level, that, or rather the items that are in the lava scattered throughout this level that I haven't gotten yet, the reason I haven't gotten them yet is because I don't have an armor set that has high enough fire defense for me to get through those parts. I need to get the Smelter Demon set, and then I need to get a spell called Flash Sweat, and then I also need to roll through those vases of water, and that gives me fire defense that is high enough to at least get to that chest without dying and open it to collect the item, which is a pyromancy called Flame Tempest, I believe. And you've also probably noticed that I've missed quite a few items in this quote-unquote in-depth run, and just don't worry, I'm coming back to all of them later once I actually play through Scholar of the First Sin, and, well, basically, when I know where they all are, because this is an in-depth run, I will come back to them all. Nothing will be left undone. Also, with these platforms that are behind me, and in that big area, they actually do fall down if you step on a switch, and an easy way to get through this area without shooting all of the enemies is to just quickly beat the enemies to the punch and step on a switch whilst they're still on those platforms, and they will just plunge into the lava. Like I said, this place isn't so tough, although you do have to watch out for the archers that are on the platforms. This area I will come back to. I have to go up above first, and I have to collect a few items and kill some Alon Knight captains so I can get something called the Black Knight Great Axe. Now, this item is something else that links this land to Dark Souls 1. The Black Knights were only in Lordran, and there were Gwyn's Knights in the army against the dragons, and, well, they're even his knights still today, but they roam the land of Lordran as ghosts and ghostly apparitions. And they aren't active in Drang Lake, but they are active in Lordran, and the fact that their weapons are found in Drang Lake, in the Iron Keep, and in various other locations is just another sign that points towards Drang Lake being in the same location as Lordran just millennia later. Anyone that's played Dark Souls 1 will probably remember the Black Knight halberd from that game being absolutely fucking amazing. Like, that weapon would destroy if you had a build that accented it, and oh my god, there's a lot of deaths right here, mainly because of Dark Spirit Oliver the Collector. This guy is a cinch. I think I only let him hit me once because I roll, and I'm kind of glad that was the case, because otherwise I would have had to use a few life gems. But Yeah, anyone that has used a Black Knight Halberd build in Dark Souls 1 knows just how awesome that build is. I think that it was the first build I used after I dropped my shield, or when I first learned how to roll rather than block behind a shield, and it was one of the most awesome builds I've ever used. It took down every boss like super fast. The 4 kings were like not a big deal with it at all, and it has one of the greatest movesets in the entire game. It's really just one of the best weapons in all of the Dark Souls series. Well, mainly in Dark Souls 1, because it was awesome. In Dark Souls 2, it's okay, but it's nothing that's extremely good to use. The reason it's not as good in Dark Souls 2 is mainly because it has a lot lower durability. Well, nearly everything in Dark Souls 2 does, because of the durability factor. But it also doesn't do as much damage as in Dark Souls 1. In Dark Souls 1, it could do up to like 600 damage or 700 damage if you had the right build. And that was quite an easy build to make as well, because it was just a dex strength build, I'm pretty sure. But in Dark Souls 2, it's more purely dex, and it doesn't scale as well. But it's still a good build nonetheless if you want to go for that route and you want to use the Black Knight Halberd. I do just quickly want to talk about that invasion we had a moment ago though, and that was Oliver the Collector. Now, there's rare artifacts and rare weapons scattered all throughout the Iron Keep and Broom Tower, and this might be because of Oliver the Collector. There's a reason that the Black Knight stuff is in the Iron Keep, and that reason is him, or at least that's what I believe. He was probably a traveler or explorer under the wing of the old Iron King that was sent to go out into the world and collect rare artifacts to bring back to the Iron Keep so the Iron King could add them to his armory or his treasury. This invasion wasn't in the original Dark Souls 2, so it's kind of nice that they've added a reason for why these items might be where they are, and that reason being Oliver the Collector now makes these things kind of make a bit more sense. Also, this is the reason that I didn't take that route through the fog door before. Taking the route that leads up the stairs to the Alon Knights and then jumping down onto these platforms leads to the same place, but you get a special ring if you do it this way rather than the other way. You would have missed it completely if you would have taken the route that was through the fog door. Although this is also where I die because I try to face off against an Alon Knight on one of these very thin walkways. And here we get the covetous gold serpent ring, the first one. It goes up to +2, and basically what it does is it increases your item discovery. I should not have rolled here. Big mistake. And since I had 28,000 souls, I am going to have to go back up, kill all those Alon Knight captains again, and jump down once more to recollect them. And since I'm nice, I've cut out the run back so you guys don't have to deal with that hell again. So yeah, I've dealt with the Alon Knights, and now we're going into this very, very, very small hallway with 2 turtle men, or old ironclad soldiers if you want to call them that. It's just better to use the shorthand and call them turtle men. It's less effort. I wonder if anyone's actually done fan art of these old ironclad soldiers as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think I might have seen that somewhere, but I can't recall. Best way to deal with this is just to bait them out, bait them up the steps, and hit in between their attacks so you can kill them fast, or as fast as possible at least. And then for the second one in the hallway, there is a switch to the side that you pull and it brings up the guillotine, and if you end up drawing out the turtle men and you do it slowly enough, you can actually get him caught in the guillotine and it will kill him in one hit. This thing right here. It will actually fall down on him given enough time, and you won't have to deal with him at all because it will just obliterate him. But unfortunately, I draw him out too fast and try to hold him off with arrows, but it drops a few seconds after he has already crossed. And if you're too careful and you draw him out too slow, like you bait him into attacking when you first encounter him, the guillotine can actually drop on you and kill you in one hit. So it's kind of like playing with fire, and you need to do it really carefully to execute it properly. We're almost at the Iron King as well. We're one bonfire away, so as soon as we get to that bonfire, we'll basically be at the boss, because it's just downstairs, or down the ladder from where that bonfire is, which is this area right here. And, well, the bonfire is up in the area above it, but you get my meaning. And because of this, we will have to start talking about someone called Agel. because, or eagle, or Agel, whatever way you want to pronounce it. It's a bit ambiguous. It has a bit of a weird spelling. I'll put it up on screen how it's spelled. But he is essentially one of the Iron King's most loyal and trusted compatriots, or at least he was. And he is the reason for all the kind of architecture and all these statues being shaped in the form of a bull. The place we are in right now is called Agel's Idol. So the idol of Agel is essentially a bull. This may have been what he based the architecture and the imagery off, or it may have been his imagery to start with, and he just used it as the influence for the forms of statues and Agel's Idol itself. Now, I'm just going to fast forward here because I just stand around for a minute or two and I don't really do much. And basically what pulling that lever does is it cuts off all the fire in the Iron Keep. So now I can go and collect items that were hazardous to collect before, like this key that was below the flame in the first part of the Iron Keep. This is the Iron Key. Basically, it opens the door in the Forest of the Fallen Giants that leads to one other key that is used to access the Iron King DLC. Of course, most people will know this area as the area with the salamanders that are a pain in the ass to kill because they have very high vitality, and they also have one of the weirdest movesets in the game. They hit you very fast with their tongue, and they can also leap on you and crush you from above, which is really weird because they're lizards, and how many lizards do that? One other thing that I'm gonna get in that area is a piece of lore that is given to us by a shield called the Rebel's Great Shield. This is, or rather was, Raim's Great Shield. We will learn a lot more about Raim later in the Iron King DLC, but when we go and collect that shield, we will at least get our first bit of lore about him, which is good, because that starts us off on the right track. But until we get to the Iron King DLC, we're going to continue on and finish with the Iron Keep, because we still have a bit more to talk about with Agel. Agel was one of the most loyal followers of the old Iron King. Agel was a sorcerer, but he was also adept in pyromancy, and was referred to as Magus Agel. Magus Agel was responsible for such pyromancies as Fire Snake and the Dance of Fire, which are found in the Iron King DLC. There isn't much known about Agel, and as a matter of fact, I don't even know if Agel was a man or a woman. I'm just presuming that it was a man. But there is a theory on Agel that he or she is in fact the Lost Sinner. Both the Lost Sinner and Agel have links to pyromancy, and in fact the cuffs that the Lost Sinner wears are actually made to increase the power of pyromancy. So there's one link there. And another link lies in the fact that the doors at the back of the Lost Sinner boss room are actually the same as the ones at the start of the Iron Keep. Now, it's possible that the Iron King could have seen that Agel tried to relight the first flame, and therefore imprisoned her in the Lost Bastille, as he did with so many other undead, and from that moment on, Agel was never seen again. And since Agel was a pyromancer, he or she must have had some interest in the first flame, and if this theory is correct, or if it at least sounds correct to you, it could be possible that Agel became infatuated with relighting the first flame to see what pyromancy possibilities it held, but in turn ended up failing and being sentenced to imprisonment below the Sinner's Rise. The one thing that doesn't make sense here is how a chaos bug would have gotten into Agel. That is the only thing that doesn't correspond to this theory. The theory, however, that a priestess from Aleum Lois could have been the Lost Sinner makes a bit more sense to me, because the old chaos lies in Aleum Lois, so it would be easy for a chaos bug to attach itself to one of the priestesses there. Regardless of those theories though, Agel was basically just a sorcerer slash pyromancer that was a follower of the old Iron King, and I suppose the old Iron King thought that he did such good work that he decided to let Agel build monuments to this minotaur that was his idol. That is about the sum of Agel's lore within the game, and this monstrosity is the old Iron King, or at least what he is now, which is Icarus Earth. This is a basic representation of Icarus Earth. Within this monster, is the Great Soul, along with the Old Iron King, if the Old Iron King is still a part of this at all. We've gone all the way through the Iron King's lore about 3 or 4 times by now, so you should probably know it off by heart. If not, then a quick 1-minute summation should do. When the Old Iron King was but a mere prince, he was wed to someone named Mitha. This was Mitha the Baneful Queen in the Earthen Peak, but the Iron King, or the Iron Prince, was in love with someone else far away. After this, he decided to build his own kingdom once he was crowned king. This became the Iron Keep, but because he mined so much iron in the land and made his castle so heavy, it eventually sank into the lava and awakened the fire that was beneath it. When the entity awoke below the castle, it activated the Smelter Demon, and the Smelter Demon killed the Iron King. And once the Iron King sank into the lava along with the castle, he became Icarus Earth and melded with the Great Soul. The melding of the Great Soul and the Iron King created the monster that is before us now, and ever since then he has been guarding over the primal bonfire that lies below him. In New Game Plus, this boss, the Old Iron King, also drops the old soul of the King of Light, or the Lord of Light. I can't remember what it was called without looking back. But yeah, he basically drops Gwyn's soul from Dark Souls 1. We know this is Gwyn's because when you go and trade it in for a weapon, you can get the Black Knight Greatbow from Dark Souls 1. And it also references the Lord of Light from an age-long past. Anyway, with the Iron King down for the count, we can now move on to the Primal Bonfire and activate it once more. We have 2 more Primal Bonfires left to activate after this one in Brightstone Cove after defeating the Duke's Dear Freya, and then the Primal Bonfire at the bottom of the pit in Majula, which is at the bottom of the Black Gulch. And to get to that one, we have to defeat something called the Rotten. This item used to be a Sublime Bone Dust, but the Sublime Bone Dusts are now all guarded by Cyan Knights in different areas around Drang Lake. I kinda like that idea more, rather than them being behind bosses and just in random locations. I think it is a much more solidified design of how you should collect those things. But for now, this episode has to come to an end. Next time we'll head down into the Grave of Saints, the Gutter, and the Black Gulch. And as always, thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next episode.